Hey everyone, it's David here with Surplus Institute. So a lot of people are asking me about state funds, but now it's going into mortgage and tax overages and how do you find mortgage and tax overages and how to find those lists. Just to recap, the last several weeks we've dissected a number of states, which I'm going to continue to do and work on state funds. If you want to go into tax and mortgage overages, it's a whole new ball game. In my opinion, I always call it from going from the minor to the majors. And the reason why I say this is because I could work on a list in state funds and I could work on that list for a couple hours and I usually get 2 or 3 deals. I could work 2 or 3 days and get 1 to 2 deals on mortgage or tax overages. But there's a caveat here. Mortgage and tax overages, the payout is significantly higher. I might get $6,000-$8,000 for 1 deal, or in state funds, I might get $3,000 for 2 or 3 deals. So mortgage and tax overages pay a lot higher. I always tell people to go ahead and I'm going to talk about where to find some lists and how to get started. I'm going to give you the basics on this, but I always tell people if you're looking to get started in state funds first, and then eventually migrate into mortgage and tax overages. The biggest mistake I see is I see people try all 3 or 2 of the 3, or they try multiple states. You've got to find a list and you've got to find out if that list is going to work for you or not, and if you could master it or not. If you could master it, great. Then can you master a second list? But it's like that old saying that a pastor once taught me: a jack of all trades and a master of none. That is so true in this world. You got to master one before you jump into another. Even if you're working state unclaimed funds, master one state before you cross lines. Just something about getting familiar with the state, the rules, the regulations. I've talked about a few of the rules from California to Texas to other places. Now, let's go ahead and let's talk about tax and mortgage overages. The same thing applies as you have to find a list, and a list is usually available at the county. I had jury duty a couple of years ago, couldn't get out of it. I had to go serve it. And when I walked out, to my right, there was an auction, and to my left was an auction. One was a tax and one was a mortgage auction. I thought I had died and gone to heaven. No, I'm kidding about that. But literally, I walk out of jury duty, which I didn't get picked that day, and these auctions are going on. I'm there with my video camera filming these.
000-B, Clearwater Independent School District, District 5, Nationwide Advantage Mortgage Company et al. 1 acre or less, abstract 335 Samuel F. Survey, Smith County, Texas. Judgment due tax year of 2020. Minimum bid is $300. Got one. What's your bid, man? 2. 2?
I mean, 4.
4. That one for 4. 5. 6. 6 going what? 750? 750? 7?
He said 650, didn't he?
Oh, he said 750.
750.
Yeah. 8?
759.
759? He says you got 8.
801.
801.
850.
850?
850.
851.
Is it 850 or 8,000?
9? 901.
950.
950. 951. 1,000. 1,001. 1,001. 1,001. 1,001 going to what? 1,200. 1,500. 1,500 going what? 1,501. 16. 1,601. 17. 1,701. 18. 1,801. 19. 1901. 25. 2501. 26. 2601. 27. 2701. 2701. 2750. 2751. 28. 2801. 2801 going what? 3001. 3051. 35-1, 35-01, 35-01 going once, 37, 37-01, 39, 39 going once, 39-01, 4,000, 4,000, 4,020, 4,020 going once, going twice, sold.
Looking at this, and I'm amazed at how many people are bidding and I'm amazed at how many of these properties are going for over the asking price. They're starting off and they're bidding and they're going up, and it's really interesting. I'm watching people's faces. I'm watching disappointment. I'm watching people get happy. I'm watching people turn in. They all had these like cashier's checks, and you have to pre-register when you bid. So what you want to do is go to your county, find a auction that's going on, and if you can attend it, great. If you can't, I would try to get a day off work if you're really trying to find out what happens at the auctions, how many properties go. Even online auctions, you can start watching a number of those, and what you want to do is you want to find out how many properties are going for over the asking price, and if you can, get a list of properties that are going up. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get with the court files and you want to find out what's happening with the auctions with the court files. So 123 Main Street went up for auction. Starting bid was 50,000. It sold for 150,000. That would be a good one to go over. Now, you're also going to want to learn how to research and find out if there's other liens, other players in the auction. Like for an example, we had one that looked really good in Illinois recently, and when we researched it, it had a second on it, and it also had interest that accumulated that had to be paid between the time it was turned into the auction, turned in. And banks are going to throw whatever fees they can at a property. If you sneeze on a property, they're going to throw that out there. So what you want to do is you want to start getting familiar with the unclaimed funds. One of the ways that I do this, and I'll go over a lot of this in upcoming videos. I'm not going to hit all this week, but I'll be talking about a lot of these. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, by the way, go and subscribe. You want to look at who's being notified. Let's say that Wells Fargo forecloses on a property and they go ahead and they start off at 150 and it sells for 250, and then you're noticing that Bank of America gets notified or another trustee gets notified. Why is that trustee being notified? They probably have a second lien on the property, or maybe a notice went out to an HOA. Maybe a notice goes out to someone else. And those are things that you want to become aware of, because they're probably going to have a right to some of that surplus, which is going to deflect what the owner can claim. And the last thing I'm going to say, and this is going to be the last tip I give all, and then I'll say a couple more things here. You want to be familiar with homestead, and I'll start going over contracts and what they mean. Homestead is if someone lives in their property, then what I've seen is no outside liens outside of the property can come against that property. So if someone lives at 123 Main Street, John Smith lives there, and he has a Capital One credit card for $25,000, he gets the first $75,000, $50,000, depending on what state he lives in. He gets first dibs on that before any outside creditor could come and claim any surplus, even if it's a lawsuit, what have you, is what I've seen. Now, if Wells Fargo has a second on that property and Bank of America has a first, Wells Fargo is going to have right to that surplus because it's tied to that property. It's secured. So I've seen that a lot with the homestead, and those are things you want to start getting familiar with. So it's a whole new ball game. And nobody's going to really explain this to you as you're going and you're trying to work these funds. A lot of this I just learned on my own. They're not super hard to figure out, but you do have to know what's going on, when the auction is, how to find it. So start looking at newspaper articles, start Googling. I love how we use Google as a verb. Start Googling or online search engine, auctions, mortgage auctions coming up, tax auctions coming up, courthouse, your local courthouse, do they have it? Now, if you live way out in the middle of nowhere, chances are you're not going to be able to go to your local courthouse and watch an auction. You're going to have to find something like go to Florida, look at Orlando, Florida, look at Los Angeles, California, look at one of the bigger counties, find out their rules. What I always do whenever I go into a state or county, what I've always done is I've always looked at an auction that's gone over. I've always called the court, and I've always identified myself as just, hi, I'm calling about the auction that went up on 123 Main Street. We noticed that went for over the asking price. Could we claim this, and how do we do that? They always talk to me like I'm the owner. I don't lie. I don't say I'm the owner. I just say, could we claim this, and what's the process of claiming it? Most of them have it online and most of them have it secure. There's still several courts that don't have these online that you can go out and you can look for this. And if you live by a court that is like in the dinosaur age, that's actually a good thing, because if you can go and find those files, you have a lot less competition. There's probably people doing it. It's not like you're going to be the only one doing it, but you have a lot less competition than like Orlando, Florida, who's, I guarantee you, it's online. Or there's a lot of different counties out there. However, if you find a place that's regularly doing auctions that's not online, that is a good place to get started, and that's a good place to move. So I hope this helped. I would look at some local newspaper clippings, maybe that are online. I would look at some online resources. I would find an auction. I would go to an auction. I'd watch it and then ask questions after that. That would be your biggest tip in today's video. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Do me a favor, give me a like if this video was helpful. Feel free to comment, and I'll see you on the next video.
$20,000. I'm asking for a bid of $130,000. Anybody interested in putting a bid of 258 is in at 130. Anybody want to bid 140? This is for 7874 FM 346 East. On behalf of the beneficiary, I put in a bid of 140. Do you want to put in 150? At 150, we're almost there. You want back in 150 or 149? 150 is what I'm asking for.
You said you were at 140, right?
With the beneficiary, I got a $150 bid now with 258. Anybody want to put in a bid of 151? Anybody want to put in a bid of 151? All right. So on behalf of the beneficiary, I am putting their final bid of $151,200.